Hello and welcome to part 20 of the Micky head tutorial set. This is David Ward. When last I left you, we had set up the facial controllers for all the shape keys and everything, and got those all set up and ready to start animating. So in the meantime, between 19 and 20 here, I made a few adjustments to the model here. As you can see, I changed the pose a little bit, and also the eyebrows were looking a little weird, so I adjusted them and brought them down a little further on his face. And then the eyelashes, I adjusted them a bit as well. And you can kind of see here that I think it looks quite a bit better. The eyebrows look a little more natural, and the eyelashes are not quite as blah right in your face. Kind of looks like Joan Cusack in this picture, I think, in this render. But anyways, I'll just go over real quickly the settings that I have now for the eyebrows and the eyelashes. So the eyebrows now, actually, first off, the hair strand that I made, I went ahead and gave it a subdivision surface modifier, just set to 1, and then set the transparency down a little bit to 0.35. It was at 0.5, so that helps kind of, give it a little bit more subtle appearance there. And then on the eyebrow settings for the particles, I set that up to 12, and I think it was 8. Let me make sure. Yeah, eyebrows. Okay. And then I changed the randomness right here of the children, and that helped it look a lot more random, a lot more natural, not as like somebody took a pair of scissors and just cut them, out of cardboard or something, paper. So anyways, so that's that on the eyebrows. On the eyelashes, since I changed the hair strand to be smooth, it made the eyelashes look a lot less visible than the settings I had before. So I had to go ahead and increase their children to 4 where it was 2. And I went ahead and set the length to 1.0 rather than 0.75 that I had. So anyways, that's just a quick basic rundown of his settings now. I think I changed the glossiness of the hair, so it looks a little bit more dry now and not like it's greasy or wet or anything, so I think that looks better. So anyways, all that being said, let's go ahead and clear out all the poses and things. I have I just hit Alt-R to clear out the rotations, Alt-S for any scaling, and Alt-G for any location. So that clears out all of the head movement as well as the facial controllers. And also one thing, when I first built the head rig, it was over here on this layer right here, and I went ahead and popped into object mode and moved it. I like to keep it in this bottom left here, right below the layer that the main model is on. So that's my personal preference. You can put on whatever layer you want. But anyways, back to pose mode. Now, I mentioned in part 19, I believe, that we will set up a pose library. Now, I've already I wanted to keep that pose that I just had him in, so I went ahead and made a pose library. So tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that and get rid of that pose library so we can start from scratch. So we'll get everything zeroed out, Alt-G, Alt-R, good to go. Okay, so pose library, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's a library of different poses, so you can have, well, I use it mostly for setting up facial poses for different phonemes, which are the sounds of words, or sounds of, well, sounds, the sounds you make to talk, like E, A, O, T, Z, Sh, F, whatever, And also, we'll probably have to make another shape key for the OO part, but we'll get to that shortly. So anyways, to make a pose library, you just hit New, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it Phonemes. Okay, and we'll hit the plus sign there. Actually, before you hit the plus sign, you just go ahead and pose them into whatever pose you're wanting. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the layer that we're not going to be using. We're just going to be using the facial controls. And I tell you what, the phonemes where he's talking are going to be different than from the eyebrows or the eyelashes, eyelids, where we're going to do blinking and eyebrow raising and whatnot. So I'm going to do what's called, I'm going to put the mouth and chin and all these controls here into their own group. So I can just say, just select those and hit the little plus sign over here under bone groups. And here I'm going to double click on the group and say mouth controllers. Okay, and then we will select these guys up here, hit another plus sign, name this one I/brow controllers. And one thing I forgot to do on the mouth one, let me fix that typo, there we go, is after you create the bone group, you actually have to assign the bones to it. So let me go ahead and select the mouth controllers and go ahead and assign those. So that's handy for, you're like, okay, I want to select all of the mouth bones and create a keyframe for those. So you can just hit select and it'll select all those. And then you can deselect and say, I want the eyebrow controls, so you select there. So it's a quick, easy way to select different bones. And that'd be handy too if you create a walk cycle or something like that for a full character, and you only want to put keyframes on like the hands and the feet and the waist, you know, the parts that are only moving, and you don't want to put a keyframe on everything. You don't have to select it individually. You can just go, boom, select all those guys, pop, hit a keyframe, or Control I. Okay, so we got our two bone groups set up. Let's go ahead and start making him have some expression where he's going to talk. So let's go ahead and lower down his jaw just a little bit. Then I'll grab the bone that'll open his mouth a little bit. And let's have him go E. So it's kind of a smile almost. E. Maybe not that there. Oops. Gotta be careful when you're selecting. It's easy to select the mesh on accident. Maybe move his, just to give him some difference in his mouth movements when he's talking. I'll just select that. And now, since I put all the mouth controllers into a group, I can just select that group, boom, and these are the only bones I want in this phoneme pose for this library. So I hit the plus sign now, say add new, and I will name this one E. Okay. You know, it might be a good idea to go ahead and put PH at the beginning, so you know it's a phoneme, and it's E. So that's just for visual reference. It doesn't make a difference what you name it, but it's just easier to tell what it is that shape's going to do, and what kind of shape library item it is. So anyways, so we got E. So how about A? So that's almost the same thing. We're just kind of a frowning. And we'll move the jaw over to the other side and down a little bit. Maybe open up his mouth a little more. Maybe not. Maybe move those lips up some. Ah. Okay, so now we'll select all of them again. Hit another plus sign there. Add new. PH_A. You can spell it however you want. I just spell it phonetically. So now, if we clear out everything, say I want to put a keyframe here on frame 20 of him making the E sounds. I'll go turn on my automatic keyframe insertion, and all you have to do is hit the little magnifying glass thing there, bink, and he makes that shape. And it adds a keyframe. If we move our cursor out, you can see it, that yellow line, that means there's a keyframe for all of these bones that we had in that pose library, but there's not any. Well, to really get a good view of what has frames and what doesn't, we will split this window up here, go to the dope sheet, and go to the action editor. And you can say it just created a default action. We're not going to mess with that right now. I'm just kind of showing you that it's putting a keyframe in. And if I hit the little arrow there, it's going to only show, only show in this window what's selected and if it has a keyframe. So apparently it put a keyframe on the eyelid as well, even though it wasn't selected when we added that pose. Now it shouldn't do that. I'm going to go ahead and click this key here, and see it put a keyframe on every bone. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those, and it probably did the same thing for the bones that were not visible. Yeah. So I did all those as well. So that's not good. You don't want it to put keyframes on bones that don't need them. And if you do that, leave that, have that key unselected, it's going to put a keyframe, I believe. I should have researched this a little more before I got into recording. But anyway, so we'll select the mouth controllers again. Boom. And go ahead and hit a key, or say the E. And now, yes, there we go. So as long as that key, those two keys right there are turned on, it only puts a keyframe on the active keying set, which is the active bones. So it only put a keyframe on the bones that actually moved when we turned on that library item. So anyways, so that's that. Let's keep going with setting up some more shapes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off my automatic keyframe insertion, zero everything out again. And we got E, A, and then I like to cheat. And a lot of the phonemes you can get away with using kind of a generic one, like E can also be I, because it's almost the same shape. The only other one, I don't make that usually make that many, but I'm going to go ahead and make one for M, which would also be for B, P, or I guess those are about the only ones. And that's basically just keeping his lips together as his jaw comes down a little. So maybe we'll have him frown just a little bit as well. Maybe. Yeah. Go ahead and select mouth controllers and go ahead and hit plus, add new, ph underscore M, comma, B, P. There we go. Just name it whatever. Doesn't matter if you capitalize it or not. Okay, so let me make this window a little bigger. Go ahead and clear all those out. And like I said, we'll go ahead and make another shape key for the OO. Or, yeah, two different shape keys, I guess. One for the bottom lip to do the OO shape and one for the top lip to do the OO shape. So we'll just come down here. Go ahead and turn our subdivision surface off for now. That'll make things a little easier. Go ahead and hit the plus sign here on our shape keys. And go ahead and name this one OO top, OOT, OOT. And then we will tab into edit mode and grab the middle of the top lip and make sure we have our proportional fall off, or proportional editing turned on. Just grab that, move that up like so. Go to our front view, scale that a little bit on the x-axis. Then maybe grab a whole loop there along the top lip, scale that a little bit in. Okay, and that will be for the OO top. Then we'll go ahead and tab out. Go ahead and make sure that works okay. Good. Actually, let's do we missed a little area there inside the lips. We'll move that forward as well. Okay, maybe round the edges. If I can grab the right vertex, there we go. And we can go ahead and turn X mirror back on under the options there. Okay, there we go. Make sure you grab the right vertex, vertice. Vertices and vertexes. Okay, get that out. All right, so now, once we get both of those together, it'll look a lot better. So we'll go ahead and hit the plus sign, and now we'll say OO B for OO bottom. Now we'll do the same thing down here. Grab the middle of the bottom lip, and let's try to grab, looks like right there. There we go. And drag that one out. Looks like I'm rotating around the 3D cursor, so I'm going to go Control comma, and that's going to rotate around the selection. Okay, so that's looking okay. Maybe make it a little skinnier as well. Drag that down just a bit. Okay. So there we go, and then the top one together. It's not perfect, but I think it'll work okay. Maybe we'll grab the... looks like a Simpsons character doing the OO shape. Let's grab the corners of his mouth on each one of these and bring... Oops. Make sure you're grabbing the right vertex. Come on now. Ah. There we go, finally. Oy. So we'll just bring that forward a little bit. Then go to the other one, do the same thing. And now we've got them both. It looks a little bit better, as you can see. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Okay, so let's go ahead and zero those out. And I'm going to add the driver to the... I guess we should create a new bone again. Not again, but... well, I'll tell you what. I'm just going to add it to this left one here. Or the the top left and the top and the bottom left. So we'll just do that. Okay, so we can copy the lip top left, copy that driver, paste it through the UT, paste driver, and then copy the one from lip bottom left and paste it to U bottom. Now, one thing I want to do with this UB is kind of double its usage and give it a little bit of a negative range. So we'll say negative 0.5, and that will enable us to make the F sound when you draw your bottom lip in, underneath your top lip or underneath your top teeth. So we can go the opposite direction of coming out, and it'll go in, and that'll give us the F shape. So two birds with one stone. Okay, so now UT, let's change the settings for that. So we're going on it'll be, I think, the Z-axis. So if I can make this window bigger, there we go. Okay. UT, okay, so Y location, be Z location. Okay, and let's see what happens there. Yeah, there we go. Good to go. Do the same thing for the UB, the Z location. There we go. But that needs to be the opposite. That needs to be, okay, since it's going on the Z-axis, we need to take the negative part off of the 8 there. So now, there you go. You can see, now if we make this window bigger here, grab everything, clear it out, grab these two guys here together, move them out, and you can make the ooh shape. And then clear them out, grab the bottom one, drag it back. Now he's got kind of almost an F shape. If you move that top lip out a little bit, he can do the F shape a little better. Maybe we can give it a little bit more of a negative value, maybe negative 0.75. So that'll work. Okay, so clear them all out. And back to our pose library. Go ahead and create a new one here. Add new. Actually, let's put the bones in the shape we want them to first. So let's do the U shape. So we'll grab those two there, move them out. Maybe grab the mouth wide controller. Depart his teeth a little bit. Maybe drag. Well, let's do that. Move that back up and then move the jaw one down. There we go. Okay. Let's turn on the subsurf scattering again just to get a little bit better representation of what he looks like. Smooth. Okay, so now we have the U shape. Let's go back to the bone groups and select all of the mouth controllers. Go ahead and hit the plus sign there. Add a new phoneme. PH_U. Okay. And now one more. We will clear those out, and now we will do the F shape. So we'll just drag that in like so, and then drag this top one out. Maybe grab both of those and drag them up a little bit so we're kind of getting a little bit of the teeth showing. Oops, spun around too much. Maybe drag it out just a bit more. Okay, so now we'll select all those again. Another one, add new PH_F. And one more that I like to do is kind of a generic shape. So it's basically just kind of open his mouth a little bit of a frown, almost kind of like the A shape that we did. But it's kind of a just a simple, select the mouth controls. It's a simple generic shape. You can go, I call it the but you can use it for like in between other ones to be a nice transition. So we'll say PH. And then now, speaking of transition poses, let's just create a couple of, I call them generics. Just kind of like in between, like if he's saying, like he says, hey, Abel, or he's got two words that they both, it's like the A has the A phoneme, and then Abel starts with the A phoneme, so you'd have that key frame, two different places, but you want to separate it so his mouth doesn't stay frozen in that shape. So we'll just give it some nice generic poses there just to be a little different. Okay, so we'll call add new. I didn't use the bone group selector that time. Oh well, same difference. I'll say pH generic 1, and I like to give him at least 2, and then we'll kind of do the almost the same type of thing, just a little different. Maybe move the jaw over to the side a little bit. I thought the lips might be down a little bit. There we go. Okay, then we'll select the mouth controllers and say one more. Add new pH underscore generic 2. Okay, so now we have enough to work with here. You might notice I didn't. I like to cheat and get away with some stuff. You don't always see the tongue inside of his mouth unless he's got his wide open mouth, and you can see the tongue doing the T and the D and the N, the, and all that stuff that it has to do on the roof of the mouth to make these different sounds. But we won't be opening his mouth that wide, so I'm just going to cheat and not do any tongue movement at all. You can go ahead and do that if you like, and then add an extra, add some shape keys for the tongue touching the roof of the mouth for the N, and then for the back of the teeth with a the, so on and so forth. But for the sake of this time and sake of this tutorial set, I'm not going to do those. These should give us enough to give a relatively believable lip syncing, which we will go over in part 21. So I think we're ready to start doing that. So that's going to be in the end of part 20. We got all the phonemes set up and the extra shape key for the oo and the f. So we're good to go, ready to start animating. So that's what we're doing in part 21. This is all for part 20. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.